out of the 52 books that I read last year, I oddly only had four 5-star reads last year. I did have quite a few 4s, and I had a couple unrated books, like nonfiction. I think one was like a memoir. And I didn't have any 1-stars, so that's good. But I have my 4 or 5 stars here to talk about. And then I also picked just a few 4-star honorable mentions to talk about as well. So let's just get started. So the first book I have, I think has to be my favorite book of 2023, because I did end up getting a tattoo related to it. I'll show you what I got. I'm wearing a sweatshirt, so, and it's on my arm, so I can't really show it easily, but it's on the dust jacket of the book, so I can show you. But that is Gideon, the 9th. Gideon, Ninth by Damson Muir. Gideon the Ninth. I read Gideon the Ninth as well as Harrow the Ninth and Nona the Ninth this year, and I would give my left arm to have Electo the Ninth in my hands right now. Ignore this like smudge mark. There was like some sticky residue that I tried to get off, and it ended up kind of smearing a little bit. But yes, Gideon the Ninth. This is an adult science fiction fantasy series. There are going to be 4 books. Like I said, we're just waiting on Electo the Ninth to be released. It's supposed to come in 2024. I really hope it does. Nona the Ninth came out in 2022, so I feel like 2024 could be the year. I don't know, fingers crossed, prayers circle. I hope so. But yes. So this is the first book in the series, and it is kind of about, it's like a space opera, necromancy, cavalier, sword fighting quest book. Let's read the synopsis. Brought up by unfriendly, ossifying nuns, ancient retainers, and countless skeletons, Gideon is ready to abandon a life of servitude and afterlife as a reanimated corpse. She packs up her sword, her shoes, and her dirty magazines, and prepares to launch her daring escape. But her childhood nemesis won't set her free without a service. Harrowhawk Nonagesimus, reverend daughter of the 9th house and bone witch extraordinaire, has been summoned into action. The Emperor has invited the heirs of each of his loyal houses to a deadly trial of wits and skill. If Harrowhawk succeeds, she will become an immortal, all-power servant of the resurrection. But no necromancer can ascend without their cavalier. Without Gideon's sword, Harrow will fail, and the 9th house will die. Of course, some things are better left dead. So, this book follows kind of the 2 main characters, Gideon and Harrow. Harrowhawk is a necromancer. We do bone snarky and bitchy and antagonistic to each other, but that ends up showing that they have this really deep care for each other as well. And it's just laugh out loud funny and exciting and action packed. It can get a little confusing. I wasn't as confused as I thought it was gonna be, because everyone says this book is kind of confusing, and it can be at times, but it's just so good. I love it so much. I read the first 3 books like back to back, and I just loved them so much. I did tandem read with the audiobook as well, and I definitely would recommend the audiobooks. The narrator definitely adds like the perfect amount of snark to it. But yeah, I'm super happy that I finally picked these up, and I cannot wait for the conclusion to the series. Oh, and the tattoo that I got this right here, this here, on my arm, but it's black. The skull is black, and then my skin is obviously pale as shit, so think of like the inverse of what this looks like, and that is what I got. I just love this book so much. I love it, love it, love it, love it, love it so much. So this would probably have to be my favorite book of the year. Okay, next, another book that is hard to explain and I absolutely died over is Middle Game by Shannon McGuire. Middle Game by Shannon McGuire. Well, let's read the synopsis. Meet Roger. Skilled with words, languages come easy to him. He instinctively understands how the world works through the power of a story. Meet Dodger, his twin. Numbers are her world, her obsession, her everything. All she understands, she does through the power of math. Roger and Dodger aren't exactly human, though they don't realize it. They aren't exactly gods either. Not entirely. Not yet. Meet Reed, skilled in the alchemical arts like his progenitor before him. Reed created Dodger and her brother. He's not their father. Not quite. But he has a plan to raise the twins to the highest power, to ascend with them to claim their authority as his own. Godhood is attainable. Pray it isn't attained. Now, that's kind of a confusing synopsis, but I feel like you kind of have to go into this book not knowing a lot. I feel like that makes the experience so much better, and it has like one of the best like opening chapters. It's only like a couple pages, and it ends with one of the main characters, like dying, essentially. I don't know, it's so good. And I love it so much. It is the first book in a series all about the alchemical arts. I don't know how many there are going to be. Middle Game is out, and Seasonal Fears was published. Was it 2022? I think it was published. And then the third book in the series, Tidal Creatures, is coming out this year, which I'm excited about. But yeah, it's a science fiction know a whole lot going into it, but it's just so good. And I loved it so much. I apparently like confusing and hard to explain books, but this one is just great. I love Shauna McGuire. She's one of my favorite authors. My next book that I'm going to talk about is also by her. So yeah, I just love this so much, and I'm excited this year to start the kind of spin-off series of this. It's very meta because there's a story, a small story inside this story, which she then turned into a like short 4-book novella series that I'm really excited to read. But anyways, that's what this is about. That's what this is. Middle game. My next book. I wasn't expecting this to be 5 stars. I expected to really enjoy it because I enjoy all of the books in this series, but I really wasn't expecting it to be a 5, but it hit hard emotionally, and just like objectively it needs to be 5 stars. And that is Lost in the Moment and Found by Shauna McGuire. This is the 8th book in the Wayward Children series, which is a portal fantasy series, novella series, about these children, teenagers that have at some point in their lives stumbled through a door into like their perfect fantasy world, and then they end up coming back home, and they go to this home for wayward children run by Eleanor West. This woman named Eleanor West, who had a similar experience when she was younger, that kind of helps them cope being back in the real world, even if they may not want to be, you know. And it's just so cool exploring all of the different worlds and the why, you know, each character, like the pairing between the character and the world that they belong to or fell into. It's just really cool. And every other book takes place either following the group of characters in the Home for Wayward Children, and then the next book is set in one of the magical worlds, and then back to the home, and then back and forth. I think my favorite book in the series is the second one, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, which follows Jack and Jill. But I love them all, and they're all great and amazing. But this one is about Antoinette, or Antsy. And let's just read the synopsis really quick. It's a short one. Antoinette has lost her father, metaphorically. He's not in the shop, and she'll never see him again. But when Antsy finds herself lost, literally this time, she discovers that however many doors open for her, leaving the shop for good might not be as simple as it sounds. And stepping through those doors exacts a price. Lost in the Moment and Found tells us that childhood and innocence once lost can never be found. And this book is kind of, it gets emotional, it hits hard. It's one of the more hard-hitting books in the series, both because of Antsy's life circumstances leading up to her finding her door, and kind of the realization of what is happening in her world. She ends up in kind of like this annex. It's like a shop of all of the lost things that kind of just end up here, and it has like a revolving door to all these other worlds. And it follows Antsy and 2 other characters that kind of run and take care of the shop, and it's just, is like Ansie's story and in her world. The next book that is coming out in like 5 days, which I'm so excited for, is back with all the other characters from the Wayward Children series, and it is kind of, I believe, follows them on their quest to get Ansie back into her world for a specific reason that you discover if you read this book. And it's just so great. I love it so much. Any of the books set in the characters' individual worlds can be read essentially as standalones because they're their own separate stories. But if you do want to read the continuing story of the Eleanor West Wayward Home for Wayward Children kind of story, you do have to read those in order. But I recommend the entire series. I made my mom read the first one and she really liked it. So 5 stars, beautiful, heart-wrenching. I loved it so much and I can't wait for the next one. And my last 5-star book, I love that all of my 5 stars were published by Tor. Love Tor, my favorite publisher. But my last 5-star book is another novella, and it is A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. Stunning cover. This is the second book in the Monk and Robot series. I don't know how many books in the series there will be. As of right now, there are just 2. The first one is A Psalm for the Wild Built, which I read in early 2023. This was it was one of my last read books of 2023, and this one also caught me off guard. I was not expecting to give it 5 stars. I was expecting it to be a 4 like the last one. But what I love about these books is that it just has so many great conversations about kind of society and our culture and expectations, and it's in such a careful and non-judgmental way. And I don't know, I think I just really needed this book. The dedication in this book says, for anybody who doesn't know where they're going. And I don't know, I think I was just really in the mood when I read this for this. This series it follows a non-binary teen monk named Dex as they kind of travel through this sci-fi futuristic society, and they stumble across a robot who were thought to have been extinct, and they kind of become friends and get to know one another, and kind of the differences between the 2 cultures almost, and why they do what they do. I don't know, it's just great. The first one follows them after they meet, and then Dex tries to get to this ancient armitage of, it was important to the monks or something. I don't know, it's been a hot minute since I've read that one, but this one follows them traveling back through the wilderness and going through different cities in the world as they are traversing back to the capital, because Moscap, the robot character, is the first robot seen in forever. So they are very popular and everyone wants to meet them, and it's so great. It's a cozy science fiction fantasy series, duology, whatever it is, and it's just great. The conversations are great, low stakes, all characters, all vibes, low plot, which typically isn't my favorite, but this is just so good. And it's kind of making me want to read friendship and relationship just growing and growing throughout both books is just beautiful, and they really come to cherish each other in ways that they did not expect necessarily, and it's just beautiful, and I love it so much. 5 stars for this one. A great way to end the year. So those were all of my 5 stars for 2023, and then I kind of have like 2, I'm putting in quotes, honorable mentions. I have a book and then a book series that I want to just give a little shout out to. So the first one, also one that I read in the beginning of 2023, is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This came out in late 2022 and everyone was raving about it then. It took me a little while longer to get around to it, but I think I read it in January. Because I think I read part of it on the plane flying back home after the holidays. But this is, I don't know what I'm doing with my mic. This is another cozy fantasy series. Well, it was a standalone, and then the author wrote a prequel novel, which was just published back in November. But it is about this orc, Viv, who's retiring from her, battlefield fighting days, and decides to open a coffee shop in this town that has no idea what coffee is. And it's just a cozy fantasy, low plot, low stakes, just vibes book. And I love it. And it's got like a low-key sapphic romance subplot, and it's just great. It's just a fun time, and I just love it so much. It's like a 4.5. Let's just read the synopsis real quick. After a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for one last time. The battle-weary orc aims to start fresh, opening the first ever coffee shop in the city of Doesnt. But rivals old and new stand in the way of success, not to mention the fact that no one has the faintest idea what coffee actually is. If Viv wants to put the blade behind her and make her plans a reality, she won't be able to go at it alone. But the true reward of uncharted paths are the travelers you meet along the way, and whether drawn together by ancient magic, a flaky pastry, or a freshly brewed cup, they may become partners, family, and something deeper than she ever could have dreamed. This is just a pure, cozy fantasy, and I love it. I know a lot of other people love it too. I have the prequel story, Bookshops and Bone Dust, that I plan on reading this month as well. So yeah, 4.5 stars. Love that one. Great time reading. And then the last books I wanted to give a shout out was a sapphic romance trilogy, like standalone trilogy series. And that is the Delila Green Doesn't Care series. So we have Delila Green Doesn't Care, Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, and Iris Kelly Doesn't Date. And it follows this friend group of Claire, Astrid, and Iris in this small town as they kind of, find their romantic partners. The first book is about Delila and Claire. Delila is Astrid's stepsister. And it is a cranky lesbian photographer, bisexual single mother pairing. The second book, Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, is a bi-awakening butch lesbian pairing. It's like Astrid is like a high-strung type A, doesn't really know what she's doing, super excited for that. Definitely gonna be auto buys. I feel like any sapphic adult romance she writes from now on is gonna be an auto buy. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. One of my goals this year is to